In this video, Byron and Margaret are going to talk about the challenges of adopting a teenager. Byron and Margaret McKie have been married for 27 years and are the hosts of the podcast Beyond I Do. If you have ever wondered whether adoption is really worth it, this video is a must watch for you.
How did the entire adoption thing come about? Because it seemed like it just stormed into your life and you guys had to take a decision on the go. And what factors did you have to consider? Because I'm thinking of the person right now who has kids and then there's this situation they're facing. What do they need to think about? How did you guys decide, okay, this is the step we need to take?
So when we were dating, before we even knew we would be married, we would ride around and we would plan our fantasy life, and we would say we're going to have 2 kids by birth, and then we're going to adopt. We're going to have this big rainbow coalition family. And so that was kind of always the seed that was planted.
Yeah.
And after we had our 2 birth children, when I was pregnant with my second, I was a social worker for therapeutic foster kids. And so I'm right there in the midst of it. And we were like, we're going to have her. And then in a couple of years, we'll start adopting. And I was naive enough to think that because of my job that I had this inside depth of knowledge with what's going on. And so once our daughter was 2, we started the process to be approved for adoption.
Yep.
And throughout it, our goal was to help children. We felt like, we have a home, we have open arms, we have big hearts. We want to help take care of these kids, because if no one does it, they're going to grow up. They're going to be adults. They're not going to have, the tools needed. And so...
and I think the goal was to, try to get, a lot of times, a lot of older children, especially in those teenage years, they end up growing out of the system. So the goal was trying to catch one of them that, just give them the love and the support that they needed, until they become an adult. That was the thought process.
So that brings me to advice point 1. It's not best practices to adopt out of birth order.
No, it's not.
Now, they told us that, but I knew better, according to me.
It's going to change the world.
So that was one of the first things that we did that we probably shouldn't. We had, at the time, our birth children were 2 and 6. And so you think about, you have the oldest and the youngest, and you have the dynamics that they have in place. And you bring in a teenager.
Yeah.
So the youngest, the oldest is now the middle, and the youngest now has these 2 older siblings telling her what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you adopt a teenager out of that's been in state custody, that's been in the state system, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
And while you're looking at the paperwork, it may not look that bad, but they're there for a reason.
Yes.
And our daughter, her birth mom, had her in and out of the system from the time she was an infant. And then finally at 12, she actually gave up her rights.
Yeah.
And so if you think about what that does to a 12-year-old who's fully aware that you as my parent are giving me
Don't want me. Yes.
So we were naive, and we were still young ourselves. And so we were naive to think that it was going to be just this smooth thing, and we were just going to love all the problems away.
Yeah.
And she told us from the beginning, because we told her, we were honest with her and told her, we plan on adopting more kids.
Yep.
She said, I don't want you to adopt anyone else. We were like, she'll be fine once she's settled.
Yep.
And
she made sure that happened.
Yeah, but they started school, and everything's going good. And we had a friend who was working for a therapeutic foster agency, and she said, we're recruiting parents. And so we were like, we'll come to the recruitment meeting. So we explained to her and our son where we were going that evening. Yep. And she said, but I don't want you to adopt anyone else. And I said, we're just going to the meeting. And so we came back that evening, and she ran away that night.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I was like, well, I guess she was for real.
She taught us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we knew, like in that moment, that's when I knew this is something different we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because here it is, this child, she's hundreds of miles from where she's from originally. She has no idea about this place. She's been in school, met a couple of people, but to prove her point, she's willing to, in the middle of the night, leave.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is different. And so we struggled for the first couple of years with the running away and things like that. And then finally she ran away, and we didn't hear from her for
About
years.
About 5 years.
She called when she turned 18.
Oh, yeah,
To
yeah.
request. Margaret, can you send my birth certificate and social security card to my mom's address? And I was just floored by this. At that point, we hadn't heard from her in 2 years. And I said, if you can call me after 2 years and call me by my first name and make this demand, you can figure out how to get a copy yourself. And so then we didn't hear from her until she was 21, and that's when she called her dad.
Yeah.
She said, Daddy, I want to come home, and I have a baby.
Yep.
And we brought her home thinking that we were going to be grandparents, but she wasn't ready. And so we told her that we needed to look into guardianship, because she was very erratic in her behaviors.
Yeah.
And my fear was that she was going to run and leave the baby with us, and we were not going to have any type of documentation with the baby.
Yeah.
And the more we looked into it, I think it came down to our insurance.
Yeah.
In order for her to be on our insurance, we had to adopt versus guardianship. And she agreed to it. Our oldest, she agreed to it. But when we went to sign paperwork, she had another meltdown.
Yep.
And I pulled her aside, and I was talking to her, and she looked me dead in my eyes and said, I told you I didn't want you to adopt anyone else.
Even though it was her baby.
And I told her, I said, you have to be kidding. Unless you're going to stay and do what you need to do, we need to make sure we can take care of her if you decide to leave. And after it was finalized, she did go. She ended up getting married. She had a couple of more kids.
Yeah, 2 more kids.
She ended up getting a divorce, and she had it rough for a couple of years, but she has settled down now. Like I said, she has the baby with her now. She is with someone who has a child, so she has her daughter and her stepdaughter. She sees the other kids on a regular basis. Their dad has custody, but she sees them summer and holidays, and she has grown and matured. And she texts me and tells me she's proud. I make sure to let her know that I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of the mother that she is, because I know that's important to her, being as though her birth mom was not what she needed her to be.
And one of the things that, I can honestly say that, for her, I know she texted me one day, and she was like, I had talked to her on the phone, and she always tell me, Daddy, I love you, thank you for being in my life. You are the best mother and dad that a child could have. And so she texted me after we got off the phone, and she said, thank you for saving my life. And I told her, I said, even though we went through a lot, for her to feel that way and for her to think like that, then it was all worth it, And that was the goal, to save their life, Didn't know what they were going up against, didn't know what dangers they could be facing or where they could be now had we not been involved in her life. So, just for that text alone, it's like, okay, now all that made sense, because before then
it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And people would tell us, God is gonna bless y'all. We sitting there like, yeah, okay.
Is it worth it? And there was a point in time where our birth daughter, when she turned 17, it was rough, and she was doing some really rough, self-destructive, just horrible things. And I remember our adopted child looked at her and went, what is wrong with you? You've had mom and dad your whole life. Look at you. Look how you're behaving. And I looked at her and I said, did you hear what she said? Do you hear who that's coming from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she embraces what she's been through and the fact that she's on the other side of that. And her and her sisters, the girls and their brother, they get along now. That's another thing. As adults, they get along so much better. And because there again, when they were younger, I'm like, this is horrible. And he would say, that's how siblings are. Really? Real? This is how they're. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna justify this because they were horrible to each other. But they're very close now, and they will call each other out and they will look out for each other. So I'm glad of that.